Welcome to Workplace Psychology with Dr. Martha Greidick. I'm Dr. Martha Greidick. This podcast examines a wide variety of work-related issues through the lens of industrial and organizational psychology. And while many of the topics discussed here may be seen as intended for white-collar employees and their employers, in reality, the ideas presented here are applicable across organizations and industries. Additionally, many of the topics discussed here may be applicable outside of the workplace. I encourage you to examine what's presented here, apply what makes sense to you, and simply discard the rest. If you keep up with this podcast, you already know the importance of finding meaning at work. Having a sense of meaning at work can be beneficial for many different reasons. It can help us to have a better overall experience at the workplace. It can also help with things like motivation. It can help you to get through a difficult situation and can even keep stress at bay. Similarly, a workplace experience that lacks meaning can have the opposite effect. Not only can it affect your general happiness and sense of satisfaction, it can also lead to things like decreased motivation. It can affect you psychologically and physically in terms of your health. It can increase your stress and decrease your ability to manage stress properly. It's not difficult to understand why any organization would find it important to invest the time and effort that would help employees find meaning in their work. So if you as an individual would like to explore some ideas of how you can find meaning at work, I invite you to refer back to the previous episode on the topic. But the bottom line is that this is a combined effort. Both the employee and the employer have a lot to gain by helping employees to find meaning at the workplace. This episode specifically will address how an organization can help employees to find meaning at work. So let's get to it. How can an employer, an organization, help employees to find meaning at work? Well, first and foremost, it's up to the organization to make sure that every employee understands why his job at that company is important. This is a way of stressing how the employee's job, their efforts, their tasks, and everything that they do on a daily basis contributes to the well-being of the organization. If you think about it, every job within a company is there for a reason. If a job is no longer needed, it will be eliminated. So it's up to the organization via the efforts of management to make sure that every individual employee understands how his or her job is important to the organization and how it contributes not only to the organization's well-being, but also to its goals and its mission. When you help someone to understand how their efforts make a difference, you give what they do a purpose. And purpose is a big component when it comes to finding meaning to what we do. And this includes our jobs. The second thing that an organization can do is to help the employee be successful at their job. This speaks to competence and mastery. This is all about how to help the employee to be competent at their work and to be able to master their job or specific tasks related to their job. An organization has to provide the right training, the right tools, the right information, the right environment, so that the individual employee has all the opportunity to be competent and be able to master what they do. An employee that has a sense of success at what they do is much more likely to be able to find meaning in what they do. An organization has a tremendous amount of power to either help an employee be successful or to prevent their success. Part of helping employees to be successful is recognizing their success. When your employees are doing well, make sure to tell them that they're doing well. And also make sure that you recognize their hard work and their efforts. You don't have to wait until the end result, until the end of a project or a completion of a task to recognize somebody's hard work. Words of encouragement can be very powerful, and they can make a world of difference in the work experience. An employer can help to create a sense of ownership for the employee. This can be done by promoting autonomy and decision making, and by eliminating any kind of micromanagement from the management team. When you encourage individuals to be responsible for their actions and to have the ability to make decisions, you're giving them a sense of ownership in what they do. The last thing that I will mention in this episode for employers to help create a sense of meaning at work for their employees is to promote a sense of belonging, to promote teamwork and a sense of team. Help individual employees to feel connected not only with other employees, with their colleagues, but also with management and with the organization as a whole. This can be done in a variety of ways, so get creative. Seemingly simple activities such as brainstorming can be a great way of connecting people. It's not only a way to encourage creativity, but it also is a team building opportunity that strengthens connections and bonds between people. And of course, social events are always a good option for connecting people with one another. This could be things that are done on site or off site, but whatever option you choose as an employer, it gives an opportunity for bonds and relationships to build between the individuals, which also strengthens their sense of belonging and being connected with the organization as a whole. And that, once again, can contribute to the ability to find meaning at work. By focusing on things like job importance and purpose, and by helping your employees to be successful, by giving them a sense of ownership, and by creating connections between the employee and not only other people within the organization, but the organization as a whole, you as an employer are effectively helping each individual employee to find meaning at work. Finding meaning at work can be a tremendous bonus for the individual employee, but it also benefits the organization. And while both the employee and employer can do different things to help to find individuals find meaning at work, it's in the combined effort where most success will be found. As the episode comes to an end, let's review what was discussed. As you already know, meaning at the workplace can have tremendous benefits for the individual employee, but also for the organization. The flip side of that coin is that lack of meaning, especially over an extended period of time, can have negative effects on the employee and their performance, which ultimately affects the organization. While individuals can take steps to help them find meaning at work, this episode focused on what organizations can do to help employees find meaning at work. Simple yet effective suggestions included doing things like helping employees to understand the importance of their job and the tasks within their job, which essentially gives purpose to what the employee does. Make sure as an organization you are doing what you need to do to help the employee be successful at their job. Give them a sense of ownership by encouraging autonomy and decision making, and make sure you get rid of any micromanagement that may be lurking around. And finally, make sure to promote a sense of belonging and a feeling of team. This is one way of connecting people not only to one another within the organization, but also to the organization as a whole. As the week unfolds, I encourage all the employers listening to consider how the organization is helping their individual employees to find meaning at work. And as an employee, you can consider your own task in terms of finding meaning at work, but you can also connect with the employer and have a conversation on how they can help you to find meaning at work. It's no surprise that having meaning in what we do is helpful to us as individuals, but also to those around us. So that means that meaning at work is important both to the individual employee and to the organization as a whole. And while both parties have their own tasks that they can do in order to help this finding meaning at work endeavor, when efforts are combined is when we get the best results. For those of you who are experiencing this podcast in an audio-only version, I encourage you to check out my YouTube channel where you can find the podcast in a video version. The link for my YouTube channel is below in the description. In addition to the podcast, you can find other videos on my YouTube channel that address stress management. So make sure you check out the link below. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to this podcast. I look forward to seeing you here again next time. Until then, I wish you joy and well-being.